It is Thursday, April 3rd, and welcome on back to the Plus. Welcome on back to Thinking Out Loud. Sam Betesh, who's joining us now regularly. I mean, we can almost put this in.
Man.
It's going to happen once a week, and thank God, Sammy, because we got an awful lot to talk about today. How are you, pal?
I'm so good. You know, each week, my agenda for the week really is just based on the conversations that you and I are going to have. I realize. I mean, there I was sending you photos of pictures of Brock Purdy. Like, it's amazing how my mind is now just completely focused on our conversations, which I love.
I like it. It's about time I got a network quality producer working on this damn show.
Yes.
So thank you very, very much.
It happened.
We're here to talk about trench warfare. It's where the Super Bowl was won. It's why the Eagles were dominated. It's why everybody's upset about the Tush Push. It's got to be the focus for the 49ers in this upcoming draft on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And speaking of warfare, we got a little warfare between the Warriors and Lakers going on in a huge one down in Los Angeles tonight as Golden State wraps up a long road trip here. They're trying to do it on a positive note. Can they win 4 in a row on this roadie? Big game against the Lakers, kind of one that everyone's been waiting for since Luka and Jimmy got traded to the West Coast. So we got an awful lot to talk about. And I will say the Breakers in Palm Beach sure looks nice, Sammy.
So beautiful.
Good.
We got to get there, right?
First of all, you got nothing but wealthy dudes eating and drinking on the corporate dime. So there probably isn't a single guy who's gone into his back pocket once yet, but for what I hope are aggressive tips for all involved. That better be one of the best tipped out weeks in the history of that hotel.
It really, and I have not been, and I would love to be, but you and I, that's going to become now, I think that's now a bucket list item for us.
It's like, where's it? Is it in West Palm, Florida or Palm Beach, Florida? It's in wealthy that you won't even be able to identify with Florida.
It's like Kentucky Derby level event. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. And yes, we should make a mecca for that, even just to stand outside.
You and I have talked about the new rules that they, talked about implementing and what they did to overtime. Everybody gets a possession now. They didn't increase the time in overtime. We did this. This was like a couple shows ago. We talked about all the rule options that were out there. And among them was the brotherly shove, the tush push. And that has been tabled by the NFL. In other words, they didn't have the votes. But what I guess came into focus for me this week is how much this really is like a dividing line for people. I mean, there's no middle ground. People are either say, don't mess with it, let football handle it, or get it out of the game. It's not even a football play. It's rugby. It's dangerous. And there's more emotion on this it's bigger than just screw the Eagles, right?
Yes, and it is, and it's you're right. It's almost like a vaccination conversation that it's become, right? That the people are that passionate about it. Now, I also will say there's also two pieces of it. One is, all right, is this about the Eagles and is this about the tush push, or is this about a rule that nobody has cared about since 2004, which is about carrying or pushing or pulling a player with the ball or a player anywhere on the field? Those are two different conversations. And the Packers wrote this very much about double birds in the air at the Eagles. This was made about the Eagles. This wasn't the Packers suggesting, are we sure that someone's not being carried in? No, this was, and again, if you look at any news story about this is not the league is discussing whether a player should move with forward progress and be pushed. No, it's called tush push. It's banning tush push. And tush push is at the Eagles. That is about whether or not you like this play by the Eagles. Let's not get caught up here in all of the other ways that we're going to see this enforced. Yes, I know if someone catches the ball down the field.
This doesn't apply to everyone.
This applies. And shockingly, there is one team that is on the other side of it. I was stunned to see the Bills and Sean McDermott suggesting that they are against this play because they, with Josh Allen, try to run this play as effectively as the Eagles. So it's really worth dissecting from two different standpoints. Of course, we know where I stand with the Eagles championship hat that did show up. All right. So we've got this, and I don't mean to that just look, that happened. That's just history. There's nothing, I'm not here to brag about it. I just want to remind everyone, yes, of course, I've got the Philly blood running through me on this. From the standpoint of banning this play because the Eagles are just too fucking good at it, is in a league full of macho men, that really flies in the face of what people should be doing.
I agree. Like, and you know who else sort of agrees as well, but he hasn't been told, I guess, like what to officially say, so he isn't quite saying it. And that's 49ers general manager John Lynch. And if I could take all of our younger viewers who never got to see John Lynch play, there is no one out there trying to cause a bigger car crash than John Lynch. John Lynch played with more reckless abandon than most safeties ever will. He made Steve Atwater look like he was trying to avoid contact. I mean, that's how forward crown of his helmet, looking to hit you so hard your mama felt it. Player John Lynch really was. Now, he's got this Boy Scout image. He's got the square jaw. He always says the right thing. He seems very affable. So I think people forget the level of violence that he was very, very comfortable with as a player. He said, quote, "I don't want to speak out of both sides of my mouth. I've always been a proponent, but if you don't like it, stop it. If you don't like it, stop it. But I have my own feelings that play, and it's really not pretty to watch." He's, complaining about the aesthetics of the tush push. I think back to my playing days, though, and I think I might have been made to do things that I wouldn't be proud of, because if they're not going to stop it, I'm going to stop it.
Thank you.
In other words, I will take this play to a level of violence that changes the way everyone is talking about it. And we did see that in the playoff game against Washington, where
Frankie Louvu,
he just kept coming over the top of that pile, trying to anticipate the snap count, to the point for the first time in my entire NFL watching lifetime, we heard an official say, "We can grant Philadelphia a score if you hop off sides again."
It's so great to have heard that, to have seen that actually on the field. Mike Pereira, I will give Mike Pereira credit, who said those words just before you heard it from the official's microphone. It is so true. This play in that moment was Washington saying, all right, we've been beaten by this play now twice in the regular season, and it's about to happen to us in the NFC Championship game. What can we do to be creative about stopping this? And yes, they decided, you know what, if we just cause a penalty every single time they run it, maybe they'll never actually be able to successfully run it. And of course, the league said, we're going to stop you just short of that. But that's what John Lynch is talking about, Damon. I am going to do everything in my power to stop this legally or illegally on the field. And that's what this league is predicated on. And I'll give credit to Aaron Glenn and the Jets. When you look through all of the teams and where they stand on this from the information that's been collected by the media, the Jets and Aaron Glenn said, you know what? It's my job to stop the play. And I wish I heard more of that from the league, from what John Lynch is saying and what Aaron Glenn is saying, which is, no. We shouldn't be talking about banning this play. We should be talking about stopping this play, executing on defense against this play. That's what we should be talking about.
The number one way to stop this play is to prevent it from being run by forcing third and long.
Yes.
By playing right on first and second down, because and I keep on hearing, and it's a total just gaslighting bullshit argument that, like, well, what happens if you can seriously average 4 yards per play? And now this play is being run on first down, second down, the entire length of the field, and that's how a team wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah, what?
Okay, first of all, if the 49ers can do that and execute one play on the route to a Super Bowl, I don't want to hear about how boring that was, because I keep on hearing from everyone who watches Christian McCaffrey have an offensive player of the year level year with more dynamic plays being made, and that wasn't good enough for you. It's about a 6th Lombardi only. If you're telling me that I can get a 6th Lombardi by running one fucking play 17 weeks in a row, then you better do it.
Do it.
Do it, bitches, if you really think winning is that. I mean, and then I hear, well, it's a TV show and it's entertainment and it's yeah. Sure, I get it all. No one is ever going to play like that. There isn't a single coach in the league who will ever be comfortable wanting run one play ever. Their egos won't let that happen.
To a Super Bowl. Again, say it, right? To a Super Bowl, running it to a Super Bowl. So there's an entire fan base that's going to be pretty excited about that, aren't they? And again, running it to a Super Bowl, executing it against another team. And by the way, didn't we just see the Eagles in the Super Bowl? And by the way, yes, they used this play once, but they beat the crap out of the Chiefs. And this play was a minor part of that. It was a minor part about it. It's psychological now, this play, more than it even is physical. Teams are now wary that they have to stop the Eagles. They cannot leave the Eagles with a yard because they know that if it comes down to that, they will be stopped. And think about the Chiefs. The Chiefs essentially beat the Bills on a short yardage situation, and that got them into the Super Bowl. And then they knew they were up against a team where they cannot stop that play. And that is what the league is doing now. And it feels like spilled milk. And if you want to talk about whether or not you can push or pull a player, I'm okay with that conversation. It's just that because we know the Packers wrote this thing up, and they wrote it because they lost the Eagles twice and their season ended against the Eagles. And I'm sorry, but that is just a bitter way to go about this. And it's so rare that you see a play written so specifically, not for a player being injured. We understand that when the quarterbacks can't be hit below the knee because Tom Brady's injured for an entire season, I'm okay with that. It's written specifically for a play that's going to allow for the MVP of the league to be on his feet more often than not. I'm okay with that. For this, when we can't point to anyone specifically being injured and then everyone's talking about, oh, this is about health, it's about health, where are the metrics behind that? Damon, where's the study on this? Where are the studies on this? There's nothing about it.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anything about health out of the NFL. First of all, if we were making healthy decisions, we wouldn't play the sport.
There you go.
Just stop it. Just stop it. You're looking to add a 19th and 20th game in the next 4 or 5 seasons. I'm sure of it. So you can take all of your health concerns and stuff them where the sun don't shine.
Yes,
because it is lip service at best. There is no concern for player health ever.
And thank you for that, because it is absolute nonsense about the health, and it does not apply. It just doesn't apply here. Not to mention, if you listen to Jeff Lurie, they designed this play for the health of Jalen Hurts. They were tired of quarterbacks. The Eagles were tired of their own quarterbacks being injured on traditional sneaks. So they designed a play where the quarterback would be protected more. And by the way, go ahead and change this rule, and I guarantee you, Nick Sirianni and Jeff Statler, the offensive line coach, come up with a way to make this ugly play stand without Hurts being pushed from behind. Can I guarantee you that? Because if you actually look at
something out, it'll be Tush Push 2.0. Right.
And it won't be push. It'll be, if you really look at what happens, the line collapses in a way where Hurts can actually fall into that hole more times than not.
Right.
So take a look and watch out. But yes, I'm sorry. You're so right about you hit one thing on the head. It is like the vaccination. You get people riled up about this one. You are clearly on one side in this. And I want to remind everyone, you're so sick. Nobody wanted the Chiefs to three-peat, right? I think I was actually more on board. I told you I wanted the Chiefs to have a perfect season. I wanted the Chiefs to go undefeated. I wanted them to plant their flag as the dynastic champions beyond even what the Patriots had ever done. I wanted that to happen. I wanted that history. I thought it was very cool for this league. It was cool for you and I to have those discussions. It was going to be cool heading into next season for anyone that could take them down. I loved it for all those reasons. And yet the Eagles ended up there and they stopped it. So if you don't want the three-peat and you don't want the dominance of the Chiefs, and the Eagles come in and don't barely beat the Chiefs, but wipe them out for an entire half in the Super Bowl, okay? Destroy them for essential. Keep them off the scoreboard for all but 30 seconds of the third quarter. And now the first thing at the first owners league meetings, it's what can we do to make the Eagles worse?
So it's been tabled. It's been tabled. It's not going to happen, but there's absolutely no doubt they're tabling it this year to drum up the support. You're basically going to have ban Tush Push lobbyists.
Yes.
Every single NFL competition committee voter's ear over the next 12 months. So when they get to Breakers 2.0 or wherever they decide to go for the next NFL owners meeting, which I'm sure Kyle Shanahan will show up fresh as a daisy to. Holy shit. By the way, if I'm telling you, you look worn out, brother, you're worn out. Like that's that he needs a vacation from his vacation, Sam.
Yes. It's so right. And I love that. And by the way, and I got to give credit to Kyle Brandt. He dissects that photo of all the coaches every year. And it is, for those that have not seen it, go through and watch Kyle Brandt break down everybody's outfit in that photo. It's beautiful. that is using your craft in a way that is really just a benefit to the rest of us, because not enough people were looking at it as a class photo, and it really is a class photo. It's a collection of all the coaches that you'll never see anywhere else, and to just look at all the outfits is beautiful.
By the way, so there's a viewer on this show. His name is Christopher. He brought up a great point the other day. I couldn't remember to attribute it to him. I made a tweet about how he said basically Kyle Shanahan looks like he's about to go to Bangkok to find the guy who might have killed his father.
Oh, it's so good. So
lotusing straight
should
up.
we, by the way, and I know you did the Severance, you were on the Severance marathon last night. I don't know if you're caught up.
We're 4 episodes in. I need some ansurs quickly if it's going to keep my attention here. I
understand that.
What the fuck is going on with those numbers? What are they doing down there, Sammy?
Micro data refinement is not for you and I. I don't think we're going to end up in that department. I just don't. But I'm glad that you're going there with Jillian and taking her down that rabbit hole. White Lotus, if you haven't done all of that, you all should do that. That's a great one. It's a fantastic. Who made that reference? Because it's an excellent one.
It was Christopher, who's a longtime supporter, commenter. I don't see him here today, but
it's so good.
A phenomenal observation. He looks like Wally Goggins now at this point.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. I love that.
So look, we got Tush Push still alive. Nothing really interesting has come out of the NFL owners meeting but for the news today that the Cincinnati Bengals may have, without intentionally or unintentionally, leveraged the threat of relocation if they don't get what they want with a new stadium or an upgraded stadium. We'll get to all that in a second. But first, before we get there, let me tell everyone it's great to have you here.
Please,
the subscribers have been going through the roof lately. So have the views, and I appreciate everyone for doing that. More than you could possibly know. You can help this channel and Sammy's channel grow by liking, subscribing, like over here, like over there. Spread the wealth around. And then when you are at lunch and you're at Ike's, you tell them to spread the Godfather sauce around, because that makes all sandwiches better. Get yourself an Ike's sandwich. Do it as quickly as you can. It is growing in exponential ways. He opened up a place in Kona, Hawaii recently as a birthday present to himself. Probably got a nice little apartment, little Pierre de Terre above it. Yeah, I know what he's doing. That
is brilliant.
It is brilliant. Get yourself to Ike's. Get yourself signed up for the Love Rewards program and earn your way towards free chips, sandwiches, and all those good things. And if you are ordering next week for your office lunch, check out Ike's Catering. You'll be happy that you did. Or bring the entire office out to the Dublin Earn West portal for a good old-fashioned bender. That's good team bonding exercising right there. So good. Dubliner West Portal, great place to go watch a little Warriors Lakers, a little Giants Friday home opener, little NFL draft. Go to the Dubliner and West Portal, say hi to Kenny and John for me, and get yourself the best Guinness in all of San Francisco. Now, tell me about the Hamantaschen.
Okay, so this is Steta's Hamantaschen. Now, my Aunt Marlene does an amazing Hamantaschen, which is a Jewish cookie around the holiday of Purim, but this can be year-round. It's basically, Pepperidge Farm used to make that shortbread. Please do. Yes, the Purim noisemaker. Yeah, Damon, you're an honorary Jew.
Who do I need to wake up on Purim?
Who
needs to be woken up? The spirit.
It is. You're right. The spirit. This is the spirit. It's not quite Elijah, but yes, that's what Purim's doing, and everyone. But the Hamantaschen is basically that version of the Pepperidge Farm cookie on steroids. The Pepperidge Farm shortbread cookie with the jelly in the middle. That is ultimately Hamantaschen. Is that now? Steta's Hamantaschen, Stetas, Steta's Hamantaschen, which is actually, I just got this from Aunt Marlene. Hummentash. So she actually stops at Damon the way that you say it, which is Hamantash. Because I believe within the plurality of it, Hamantaschen is one and Hamantash is the plural.
Right.
So Steta's Hamantash, Hummentash for Aunt Marlene. Go get your Hamantaschen. They were amazing cookies, raspberry, apricot. You can do it with chocolate. The original is actually prune, which is surprisingly my 3-year-old's favorite one. So just go get Steta's Hamantash. She's crushing it.
Prune needs a better agent.
Yeah, you're right.
The prune flavor is, so a lot of people don't know, the key flavor in the soda Dr. Pepper is prune.
So this is interesting. Whoever did the marketing for Brussels sprouts over the last 2 decades needs to do the same thing for prune. Because
100%.
any cool gastropub that you go to with your favorite draft at it, they've got now some whipped up ridiculous version of Brussels sprouts, which used to be the item that was thrown off the dinner table by every kid. And now, if you're cool at all in life, you're ordering Brussels sprouts to the table for everyone to try because, oh my God, you're going to die when you try these Brussels sprouts. Did we ever think we'd be saying that? So Prune needs that agent immediately.
100%. Get yourself a better agent. Get yourself some better marketing. And I've always said, when it comes to selling cookies over the internet, make sure you attach yourself to an undecipherable, hard to pronounce, very difficult to spell name. So congratulations to you and your entire family.
If you knew Aunt Marlene, you would know just how perfectly executed that is.
Anyways, like and subscribe, our good friends. It's great to have you here. Can I go on just a little bit of a rant here?
I would love you to. And I want to come back to one rule and a 10-second item when you're done, but please go.
Let's go, because I'm afraid I'm going to change the
subject. Okay. My 10-second item on rules is this. There's one other rule that you may have been excited, which is the expansion of replay assist. Okay. Which, by the way, I think we're all in favor of this. Get it right. Right. The bottom line is just get it right. If I'm seeing it at home, with a remote at home, if I can see it, take a snapshot of it and say that is right or wrong, and the league can't make it right or wrong, that's obscene. So the expansion of replay assist is a great idea. But guess what? You know what this rule was actually on the table for? Was, if you remember the regular season game between the Vikings and the Rams, it ended on a Darnold face mask that was not called in the end zone.
Right.
Outrage. The game ultimately ends. The call was not made. The Rams knew.
Patrick Mahomes, blah, blah, blah.
And the Rams knew in the moment. I mean, the Rams defender in the moment immediately throws his hands down like, I can't believe I grabbed this mask, because otherwise it would have been a sack. But the league didn't call it. Do you know that replay assist actually will not have changed that play? Next season, when this is in effect next season, do you understand that this rule was put in place for that particular moment, and it will not change that moment at all? Because if a flag is not thrown, replay assist cannot go back and say that was a penalty, and that is precisely what happened on that play. So my question is, why is common sense so often overlooked?
I don't understand it. I don't understand. First of all, if you're going to put replay in your game, get it all the way in or all the way out. This deciding, well, we can't go to replay for what are the, let's just say, judgment calls. Literally, replay should be there to make sure that you didn't use the wrong judgment on that call. And I'm one of the only people who will actually give a little grace to these officials who are trying to officiate gargantuan men moving at the speed of light in real time in the most violent sport, and milliseconds can change everything. And we get the benefit of the doubt of, freeze frame, slow-mo, high definition replay. It is a hard job. So make them better at their job by making sure we walk away from every play with the right outcome if we are using it at all.
Am I going to remember that it wasn't called right on the field? Or am I going to remember that it was just called right?
They got that right. Yeah.
Yeah. What we need credit for who got it right from an officiating standpoint? Who gives a shit?
Right. How about this? Then isn't it almost up to an official to throw a flag on every play just to make sure we got that one right?
And you know where this is applied?
We would want.
But you know where this is applied well? When officials allow a play to run out. When you know a defensive player has scooped up a ball and run it all the way in the end zone, but the play's really been dead. The quarterback's arm came forward, but the officials will let him run the ball all the way into the end zone. You know why? Because they want to know that if replay shows in the end that there was indeed a fumble there, they want to be able to say that through the totality of that play, it did result in a defensive touchdown. And that is where it's been smart to allow those things to unfold. So guess what, Damon? You're actually right. There will now be more flags thrown to cover their own asses. And I just think, again, get it right. Why does that need to be in there? If we all sat in a room to say this play was done wrong, and then we wrote entire language around that and came out with something that doesn't change that play at all, how did that happen?
By the way, no one has ever attached the adjective of fast to me. I'm not a fast person. Since El Stroco Loco, I'm even slower than the guy who was never fast to begin with. You don't want to be behind me in an evacuation emergency situation. I am not going to move quickly for anyone or anything. It's not good. However, I have the land speed world record for being able to determine the correct call on that replay review, and I am 45 seconds faster than the single most trained up NFL referee ever, and I am 100% accurate. I will guarantee you 100% accuracy in my replay reviews, and I will get it done in 15 seconds or less. That's all I need, and the amount of time they spend going over and over. Let me just riddle me this, Batman. In a world of fucking screens, why does the replay need to have its own screen set up? Why can't the league just watch on the 700-foot tall scoreboard right there in the stadium?
No, give the guy the smallest screen possible, right? That makes sense.
Sure.
No. Here. No, let's put you in a booth. Can we get out the tiny screen to determine the most important play?
Zoolander with cell phones.
I love that you said. I don't even want to add to that. Look up at the 100. The largest screen in the world is in those buildings.
Right.
Go to CES and try to find a larger television. You can't.
We have a double-sided helix that goes to infinity now wrapped around these stadia where everyone, including people who are still outside in the parking lot, can see this thing. But you need to set up a 36th screen that is the size of a credit card on a, they get out their tripod and put it up. They're like, what are you doing?
Can I give credit to baseball? If you'll notice what they actually do with the umpires when they're looking at a review, when the umpires are quote looking at a review in baseball, you know what they're actually doing, Damon? They look like me and you. You know what they're doing? They're waiting for the voice of God to tell them what the call is. They're not watching anything. They're waiting for someone to say yes or no, because someone else is sitting when they show you what that room, that HQ, that headquarters of the review is the room we all want to be in to make that call. There are televisions everywhere. And that's where the call should come from. And then all you have to do is just on your Nextel phone, just page the ump, page the ref, and let him know what the call is. He doesn't have to watch it. Someone else with 1,000 screens can make that determination for him.
I don't need to actually see them hold or use a Microsoft Surface tablet. You can put in a lower third graphic a watermark that says this replay brought to you by Microsoft Surface.
Please do it.
Please do
it. That's it. So just tell them what it is, and I'm good with that.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Let me just address quickly what's going on with Jed and him talking about the sacrifices that need to be made to bring Brock Purdy back. I don't want to hear anything more about it. I really don't. Get this deal wrapped up. What in God's name is it taking so long for? How about the sacrifice that Brock has made for the San Francisco 49ers? That's the sacrifice I want to talk about. Not how much that they now have to turn around and pay him, because here's what he did. Brock Purdy gave you the NFL equivalent of Super Bowl trip for free. Brock Purdy's contract is the NFL equivalent of this guy plays for free. In his first few years in the league, his cap hit was so low, Sam, it didn't even count against the cap. His cap number was so low, it wasn't registered on the cap. That's like talking about the earthquake that didn't get picked up by the Richter scale. What more do you need? He brought the franchise to 2 NFC title games and 1 Super Bowl for free. He saved Kyle Shanahan's job. He saved John Lynch's job. He is a married, Jesus-loving, but not Bible-thumping, good guy who bought his entire offensive line trucks before he had enough money to buy a single truck for himself. He has been a part of the exploding NFL franchise valuation era and has helped put hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars into Jed York's pocket. There is nothing more than this guy could do to possibly make all of you dopes look smarter than you actually are. So when it comes to what should they pay Brock Purdy, everything is what they should pay Brock Purdy. He's literally saved your franchise, saved your jobs, made all of you pretend that Kyle Shanahan doesn't look like he is here on a 6-day coke bender. I mean, what the fuck is going? I don't want to hear any more about the sacrifices that the 49ers are making. They bent over and found a Powerball ticket. They found a Powerball ticket, and they're complaining about the taxes that they got to pay on their winning lottery. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. This Brock Purdy story can't end soon enough for me, Sammy.
I'm gonna lower my voice to this level because I want your voice to resonate for everyone.
You want it to ring.
What I don't want is I don't want the two of us to be confused here because you so succinctly wrapped it up beautifully, and I'm now just going to add a little bit of cream cheese frosting around this.
You're gonna fluff my
That's
tip.
It. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Just because you nailed it, and I only want to say a couple of things. Number one, waiting means that now you're going to let what you already have. Let's just say last year, Tua and Trevor Lawrence are making astronomical money simply because they were the next in line to get a deal. So if you let another starting quarterback this season get a deal, now Brock has to get paid that number up one more floor on the elevator.
Right.
As opposed to you setting it right now for a little bit of savings. So that's number one in the calm voice Sammy explanation. Number two is this. And you said making people smarter. Brock Purdy has made people smarter accidentally. This is the last pick of the draft. Everyone's television's off. No one watches this draft pick, right? We're talking day 3. Every other team is not watching anymore because they've made their last pick. Okay. Nobody's making this pick. Nobody's watching this pick, I should say. Brock Purdy, I'm sure NFL Network at the time was excited. At least it was a quarterback. They could all speak probably a little better to that because it was one of the quarterbacks they had looked at. Not a lot of people talking about it before that, but yes, that's what happened. Brock Purdy makes the Niners look smart for. Let's remember what these mistakes are. There was Trey Lance could be your quarterback. Okay, let's celebrate what that could have been and what you'd be buried in, right? You'd be in the Aaron Rodgers conversation right now. Okay. That's what you would be. You would be in the Aaron Rodgers conversation right now instead of having the guy for the future. You remember the guy? Do you know the guy that backs up Matt Stafford? Does anyone know who that is in LA? They did re-up him, so he's still going to back up Matt Stafford. But you know,
I know he's handsome. I know he's got a square jaw.
Good looking dude. Making a lot of money to back up Matt Stafford, but a lot of that money is still coming from the Niners. Jimmy, do we remember the amount of money that we gave Jimmy Garoppolo here?
He was the highest paid quarterback in football history for a moment. He got to wear that crown.
And then he got injured against the Chiefs, and I understand it, and it was never really the same. But remember, Jimmy Garoppolo was on a little win streak before that. Remember, he had won games backing up Brady, and then he won the first couple of games with the Niners.
5-0 at the end there, right?
What did Brock Purdy go to start his career as a starter, by the way? He blew past that Garoppolo number in regards to starting undefeated. Brock, getting to the Super Bowl? Wait, the NFC Championship game twice? And you talk about sacrifice. How did he feel after that first NFC Championship game against the Eagles? You think he was feeling good that next morning?
Right. Tommy John.
Brock Purdy. Again, line up quarterbacks or line up somewhat realistic quarterback options in this league and slot Brock Purdy behind who you think he's behind, because it's going to be a list of MVPs or Super Bowl MVPs. And then Brock Purdy's the next guy.
Right. He's done everything but hold the frickin' trophy on the front of the bus.
And he had you in overtime. He actually had you with the ball in overtime, which you shouldn't have taken first, but that's a larger conversation.
He walked off that Super Bowl field.
That's right. He kicked the field goal.
Sam.
Yep.
With the lead. They were winning the last time his cleat was on the turf. So, it's just, I don't know why there are any devotions of, well, the 49ers need a deal here on Brock Purdy. You got your deal. You got your deal from day one. You've been enjoying free quarterback play and will enjoy it again this year, basically, as he plays for $5.5 million. And then you can franchise him. Here's the thing. The 49ers do one thing or the other. Sign the guy and get it done, or be the hardball dickhead team that you're threatening to be here, because I don't believe you. I would be calling their bluff so fast if I were Team Brock Purdy. I mean, it's just, what choice do you guys have? You know what? Well, I think you said this the last time we did this. Any number that starts with a 5, I'm good with. If we're going to get to 6, now you're just inviting more scrutiny. It's coming anyways, but you're just now you're going to be never the lovable underdog, easy to root for guy again. You're going to be scrutinized like every game's the Super Bowl. But here's the deal. When you were playing for free, that was what you were getting anyways. That's what you were getting anyways. This guy was literally giving them quality quarterback play for free, and it still wasn't good enough for anybody.
And Jed York talked himself into the greatest point that we should share with everyone. 30 quarterbacks in college got paid last season more than Brock Purdy. Yeah. That came out of Jed York's mouth. Jed York said it. 30 quarterbacks in college made more than Brock Purdy last season.
Brock Purdy's probably like the 8th highest paid quarterback in the Big Ten.
Look, yes, he got drafted where he did, but those days are so far behind us, because look at the quarterbacks that did get drafted ahead of him, and where the hell are they?
They're certainly not about to. They never even put themselves in a position to have a conversation about the 50 plus million dollars that they might be owed. But here is this guy. Or if they did, they were the number 1 pick in the draft, and they have long hair and they play in Jacksonville.
And how about that scrutiny? Jacksonville, you excited about Trevor Lawrence right now? And again, right. Niners, would you be happier? No, in fact, guess who you have instead? You have Trevor Lawrence's backup from last year, who, by the way, had to play because Trevor Lawrence was injured and or ineffective.
Right.
And or ineffective. Brock Purdy has proven he is worth this money, because ask the Cowboys if at the end of the year it is about quarterback rating or if it's about playing in an NFC championship. Ask the Cowboys if they'd like to be in that game, because Brock's gotten you there twice.
The only bit of actual news to come out of the breakers, other than just all the buzz that's come out of there and complaining about tush pushing and all these things, are Bengals executive today, Katie Blackburn, who has a reputation for being one of just the cheapest, hardest to deal with people in the entire league. And that is not a reputation that is brought in by outsiders. No. That everyone who works with her in Cincinnati. She dropped a subtle bombshell at the league meetings when asked, about what's going on. There's a stadium lease at Paycor Stadium that needs to be done soon. And she basically said, after the 2025 season, the Bengals can basically go wherever they want. Oh, I had no idea that you were in your last season in Cincinnati, or about to hold the city of Cincinnati, hostage for the stadium. That's still a new stadium as far as I'm concerned. It's not like Cincinnati plays in an old stadium.
Nope.
I've always thought maybe the only decent thing about the Bengals is this actually looks like a pretty cool stadium.
It's cool. Definitely.
Well, no, the best thing about the Bengals is their helmets. We all know that. Those are incredible helmets. But here we go again, Sammy. We got a team maybe using its threat of we're about to move to go somewhere else. I don't want to shit on Cincinnati too hard here. But, the Bengals might be onto something. Because just getting out of Cincinnati is something I think everybody in Cincinnati wants to do eventually. So let's just suspend any and all outrage and just ask. Let's say, Sammy, the Bengals are on their move this offseason. Where should they go?
Well, I want to put it out there, because if this was presented to the league, this would be the first hand up in the air. London would be on the table.
Ooh.
Okay. London would be on the table to take the Bengals there, because we all know if Jacksonville's not going there, any team that's saying they're going to relocate, that's the place that Goodell wants to take a team without question.
Wouldn't it be easier to go to Canada or Mexico, though, and not have an international state line cross? Like, to me, to expand to Europe before you look at Mexico City is just nuts.
So I agree with that. And let me just say another one that is stateside, but would be pretty damn cool. And we've lost this venue in football, largely. How about Hawaii?
Hawaii.
How about Hawaii? How about, I mean, again, the Pro Bowl used to be there. The Pro Bowl is now completely different than what it was. I think having those images from Hawaii is something I miss a little bit. And what road team wouldn't say, yeah, once a year we get to go there? And imagine if you get a Thursday game playing the Hawaii Bengals, and then you get to hang out in Hawaii for a couple days on your mini bye week. Everyone would sign up for that, and making Hawaii an NFL city. And again, the other one would be, and I know the New Orleans Saints don't want to hear this, but considering it's Burrow and Chase, and that's what you've just committed all of your money to, send them to Baton Rouge. They're basically they're the Bayou Bengal Tiger, right? I mean, they're the Tigers.
All Bengals jerseys have Burrow spelled with the E-U-X.
E-A-U-X.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, just take them to Baton Rouge at that point. So those are my options. What about where do you think?
Alexander Boy Productions is coming up with a great thing. After we annex and invade Greenland, we make it up to them, and you get the Bengals, the Greenland Bengals.
It's so spectacular.
Of course, we all know that the Bengal is indigenous to Greenland.
Yes. So that's where I see it. I also wanted to say that we were commending the Bengals. Remember, we were commending the Bengals for this offseason to support players like Chase and pay them when historically they have not. I love that they're choosing to build around what could be the centerpieces of this team for a decade.
It's great. But when you build your team from the outside in and you look at a guy who is a sack monster and basically say, yeah, we didn't want to pay you market rate before and we don't want to pay you market rate now. Did you see that Hendrickson was basically like, he said, I saw me get traded to every single team on April Fool's Day. But the only thing that I wanted to be an April Fool's joke is when, the same woman, Katie Blackburn, basically said, yeah, he's been, hard to deal with when he said, I'm just asking for market rate. You didn't give it to me. Market rate went up. And now you're complaining about that.
NFL awards, the NFL awards, take a look at them, and don't necessarily take a look at the winners, but take a look at the finalists and take the Eagles as a good example. I mean, if you think winning the Super Bowl is worthy of following, but the Eagles let a lot of guys go from the Super Bowl. Okay. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. There was a lot of people that did not get paid. Gardner Johnson was traded, but they threw money at Saquon Barkley and they made sure Zach Bond didn't go anywhere. So Offensive Player of the Year winner in Saquon, Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and the Bengals have taken care of two of the three guys that were finalists for the awards. Burrow, who was up for Offensive Player of the Year. He was up for MVP. He was up for Comeback Player of the Year, which he won. And then Jamar Chase was also up for Offensive Player of the Year. They paid him. Well, Hendrickson, you could probably still argue Hendrickson could have won Defensive Player of the Year. Them not making the playoffs kind of hurt it. And obviously no one's going to say that Surtain didn't deserve it, but pay the guy.
Do you need a second highly paid wide receiver more than you need defense, meaning that you don't have to score 35 to win today and every day?
We're going to look at the Higgins thing differently in the middle of next season. We're going to look at the Higgins thing differently because I understand making Burrow happy, but paying Chase makes Burrow happy. Right. I don't think you have to do it twice.
And here's the thing. Higgins is awesome. I get it. On a lot of other teams, he is, wide receiver one, but
is he? Maybe. What I mean, he's got Jamar Chase on the other side. Maybe let him. So tell him to go prove it somewhere. He's got Jamar Chase there with him.
Right.
Maybe he's the number one guy.
Might want to roll your coverage over to Jamar.
I mean, maybe.
The NFL has officially. So today's theme is a little trench warfare. Well, the NFL is declaring war, not on Christmas, but on the NBA on Christmas. Have you seen this? There is now a Christmas triple header in the works this year. Christmas is going to be on a Thursday. After the success of the 2-game Christmas slate last year, they're coming back for more. Again, if some is good, more is better. Game number 1 will be on Netflix. Game number 2 will also be on Netflix. And game number 3 will be on Amazon. And just Warren Sharp, who is one of the more clever knives in the media drawer out there, he put together the numbers and just said, look at the staggering success that the NFL had streaming on Christmas. Chiefs Steelers last year, 24.1 million. Ravens Texans, which everyone I think assumed would be the lesser of the viewed games because you had Chiefs and Steelers. Steelers are still a massive brand. Ravens, Texans, less massive brands. They had 24.3 million. They outrated the game that everyone thought would take the cake. And then, so you look at 24.1 million, 24.3 million, and then you go and you look at the NBA on Christmas, where Lakers and Warriors got 7.7 million, Celtics and 76ers 5.1, 4.9 for Knicks and Spurs, 4.3 for Timberwolves and Mavs. You have to add together 3 or 4 NBA games that are on easy to find cable or network TV to get the harder to find streaming services and the same type of audience. The NFL just rules the roost. I mean, it is such the lifeblood of linear television. It's about to be the lifeblood of streaming television too. And that's when the real war breaks out, Sammy. Wait until Netflix isn't just there for a one-off holiday package, but they want the NFC. They want the AFC.
And at this point, who would argue? I mean, on most nights, do you think more people are stumbling into what's on Netflix or stumbling into what's my lineup on NBC tonight? I mean, do you think, is there anyone now interested in that or talking about that top of mind, or are more people more likely to ask? What do people ask their television more often than not? It's probably what's new on Netflix. And when someone asks you, how about this? When someone asks you for a show to watch, okay? Mm-hmm. What's the number one follow-up to that question? The number one follow-up to the question when someone tells you what show to watch is, where do I watch it? In other words, where do I find it, right? Is it on Apple? Is it on Netflix? Is it on Amazon? Is it on Hulu?
Jack knows how to turn on Disney Plus. And he thinks everything, especially because it's, Damon Bruce Plus, he hears this word a lot. So he'll ask me when I bring up anything like Pee Wee Herman or, whatever, sure, Smurfs or whatever he wants to watch. And I'll just say, he'll ask me, Dad, what plus is it on? Perfect. He thinks all channels are called pluses.
And by the way, your son represents more of the audience than me and you at this point.
Yep.
Your son represents the future of this league more than you and I do. That's why you and I sit here and throw stuff out like old men on our lawns constantly. We like to be hip enough to say that the league's doing most of the things right. And we like to remind you that, yes, we think this league is doing most of it right. This is another example. Netflix just blew not just the NBA, but traditional television out of the water with
They're
this.
blowing Hollywood out of the water. How many Oscars did Netflix and Amazon Prime just pick up? It's
also go back and look at those games on Christmas that did those numbers that you just said, over 20 million. By the way, the Steelers game was over at halftime, essentially. They were never in that game. The Steelers, the Chiefs played a lot of one possession games last season. Not that one. And Steelers Ravens also wasn't really down to the wire. The Ravens had that one as well. So you're really onto something to think, yes, Netflix is in play. Whatever next negotiation for television is out there, you better believe, Netflix is going to be on that. And when it comes to Christmas Day, it's just this year, the only question people were asking me is, where are those NFL games?
The only element of streaming games that I didn't like was that there was a latency. And if you had a computer open and you were following a box score, you saw the play get logged on the internet before you actually saw it happen on TV. So there's a latency there that I don't like. I don't think most people are covering football as they're watching it. So I don't think that's a big problem for most people. That's a me problem, not a you problem. The other problem that I think we all have with I never watch one thing at a time anymore, especially in sports. During commercials, there's always a flip back.
The previous channel.
You're a prisoner of the plus, the app that you're in while you're in it, which, by the way, is why it has more appeal to advertisers, because you're not as likely to flip off the app to go look at something when you're going to have to go back to there is no just previous channel button. That's correct. What I like the least about it. Otherwise, I don't care if it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix or Peacock. I got all three. I don't give a shit.
I've got it all. Now, of course, you could do what I do, which is put 4 televisions in your living room and have everything available. You can do that. If your wife, if your wife's agreeable or not around when you do it, then that's something you can do. The other thing is,
he met the 4 TVs before he met the wife.
That's for damn sure. You were at this house enjoying the 4 TVs before she ever was. That is for sure. The other thing I'll say is Roku. And Roku, by the way, makes their own television right now. But for those that haven't turned their smart televisions into Roku televisions, which for $40 you can do, just plug a Roku in. Roku actually has a button, Damon, which is essentially last app. So so you are able to move. You're able to go Disney to Hulu with the touch of a button. That's a nice one.
I do like that. By the way, I love all the comments of how many people in this chat love Sam coming on by, and we need to do this. We need to do it weekly, and it's going to happen. We're not going anywhere. So
this is going to
happen more and more often. One of the reasons why Sam and I have, people are like, you guys got great chemistry. Well, we've known each other for 20 something years. There's that. We were former roommates. There's that.
For sure.
There is the common ground of our careers, and every host, which I have always been, loves a producer who has always been great at what he does. And you got to see when Sammy is like, do you want to do a show together? He'll send me links to 7 different stories. I mean, I'm constantly talking to my friend who happens to be an NBC, ABC, CBS network level producer. So it's easy to work with him. And I always love the way producers think. I always have interesting conversations with producers. I love to call my old producer pal, John Goulet, who
we are both good friends. We are both good friends with John Goulet. He's tremendous.
We're going to have Goulet join us on one of these.
100. Please
come on by.
We need a Cowboys fan also in this, don't we? Niners, Eagles, Cowboys. Like, we need that representation for sure.
Without even trying to give me ideas for topics, whenever I talk to a guy who's a producer, I get ideas for topics. It just happens. This is how we talk. This is the currency. This is the shorthand we exchange. I follow Paul Pabst. Paul Pabst is Dan Patrick's producer. I knew Paul because we were ships passing in the night at ESPN, so we know each other. You know Paulie Pabst?
I know Paulie very well.
You can't be in radio the last 20 years without knowing Paulie Pabst. So he's a fun follow. He'll let you know what's coming up. And just as the ideas or observations he has, again, he's a producer. He thinks like, how do I create content at all times? He asked a question that I thought, man, that's a pretty good question. So let me ask you, Sammy, it's hard to find a time in sports where maybe the 4 best players in our 4 biggest sports were easier to identify without much argument from the proletariat. And Paul Pabst says, would it be fair to say that right now the clear-cut best player for each sport is the following 4 guys? Baseball, Ohtani. Basketball, Jokic. Hockey, McDavid. Football, Mahomes. There's always going to be an NBA argument because that's just the nature of NBA fans. But if you're trying to say that anybody out there is better or more at their peak than Jokic right now, I think you're wrong.
Oh,
it's unbelievable.
I was watching on Steph's night, Steph's historic night, which was, I believe that was Tuesday night. Tuesday night.
Yeah, just the other night. He had 12 threes. He drops 52 on the way to a big win over Memphis.
Good for Steph, but I looked over the national game of the night on TNT on Tuesday was the Bucks and Suns, which ended up not being much of a game, and tip of the cap to Kevin Durant, who was all watching it with us. But I looked at Giannis for a second, and I looked at another good friend of you and me from the Bay Area, Aaron Larsoul, another great producer.
Yes,
and his great NBA mind. He was a scout for the Blazers for a little while as well.
Does Jeannie Buss just leave him tickets?
You understand? He is an intermediary, a liaison to the Lakers, basically. I mean, he is locked in. He is somewhere listed in their front office.
Jeannie Buss. They're friends.
He is 100% friends with Jeannie.
Yeah.
And he is just locked into that organization. So I looked at Aaron and I said, is it fair for me to say that Giannis is the best player in the game? Like, there was that part of me that just looked and thought, okay, Giannis won it in 2021. He's in the MVP conversation every year. And we kind of had that debate for a moment, the Jokic thing. And of course, this year, SGA, which we know is sort of a 1-year thing, that Alexander could be the best player. But I think you're right. The NBA's got a little bit, but no one's going to argue and lose themselves over saying Jokic is the best player in the game.
Look at it this way. Jokic might not win the MVP this year, But you don't need the MVP to be the best player in this league. They
You
didn't
don't.
give the MVP to Michael Jordan every year he played
Nope.
in the league,
No.
and they could have. You only get so many of these things, and I think Jokic has been handed enough MVPs now in his career. The next most worthy guy is officially up to bat, and that is SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a 100% worthy recipient of this year's MVP. Having said that, it still could go to Jokic. And if we're being totally honest, if we weren't sick and tired of voting for LeBron and Steph, you could vote either of those guys in the top 10.
And funny that Tuesday I was looking all that, and then Steph reminds the league,
Right.
Don't forget about me ever in any
By the
moment.
way, my wallet's the one that says bad motherfucker on it. There it is.
That's,
right
that's so wait, I love this question. And I only want to point out one other thing, because I think this question is so perfect in this moment because of something that even happened last night. So for those that fell asleep with the Dodgers losing 5-0 to the Braves, which was going to be their first loss of the season, and didn't stick around for the Muncy tying double and the Shohei Ohtani walk-off home run against the brought-in early closer, there are moments where Shohei just definitively wipes out the argument. And it, of course, happened with the 6 for 6 in Miami last season.
Well,
obviously,
the
50-50
again yet. He's not even pitching it. What happens when that starts again?
Do you know how amazing it is that America's pastime, we will forever be able to say that the greatest player, not of right now, the greatest player of all time in baseball is Japanese? Do you know, do you know how mind-boggling that would have been if we said it to our fathers, let alone our grandfathers? What are the chances that that was going to happen in a world where you can't make an easy argument. You can make an argument, but it's going to take a while. You can't make an easy argument that takes Shohei off that pedestal. Best ever.
I mean,
best ever.
So I was on to Ohtani. I was on to Ohtani. No, the rest of the world didn't know what they were looking
Thanks for
at.
bringing him over. Thanks for bringing him over.
But Ray Ratto and I used to do a show every day, and all Ray likes to do is disagree with every single point I've ever made. And he disagreed with, he's just saying, well, he's not Willie Mays. And I said, what was Willie's ERA? So it is Ohtani. Unless you got Willie Mays in Cy Young conversations, I don't want to hear it, Ray. And he's like, no. Still, and then a year later, he looked up one day during a commercial break. He would never do it on the air. He was like, you might have been right about the Ohtani thing. And
the Ohtani thing?
Yeah.
The
Ohtani thing.
That little Ohtani thing.
Yeah. And it drove me and I'm like, yeah, because he does one. Everyone in baseball has only done one thing. He does two things. Therefore, he is the greatest. I mean, that's it. That's it.
And Babe Ruth's really
Babe Ruth. This guy is so much better than Babe Ruth. It's not even funny. What are we talking about?
50-50. I mean, when you look, baseball's a hard sport. It happens a lot in other sports. First ever. And don't be surprised, by the way, I spent a lot of years producing television as well. Don't be surprised when you look at something on TV that says first ever since. Okay. So think about those three words. First ever since. You'll see it a lot. First ever Super Bowl appearance since 2020. It's like, okay, that means two since 2020. Really? It's not first
ever.
But when you see first ever without the since, that's when you know something is unbelievable. We like to shock people by saying first ever, but then the since wipes it out always for me. Always. Because it's since and it's not that long ago. And it's right. Shohei Ohtani does things every season that are first ever. First ever in history. 50-50. Do you understand how never that is going to be touched? 50, let alone somebody attempting it, but 50-50. The guys in the MVP conversation and the Cy Young conversation in years that he pitches, it is never going to be done again.
Right.
And when he came to the Angels, I thought one thing and one thing only. This guy will be great at one of them and not both. Right. He will either pitch great.
It's unsustainable asks.
And then in his first season with the Dodgers, when he's not even pitching, he goes out and did he have an okay offensive season? He had the greatest offensive season in the history of the game. And
I mean, unless you wanted to say like, well, Bonds' 73 season on base percent, blah blah blah.
Okay.
There's moving scales on what is the greatest season of all time. But again, like, it's insane.
And his team won the World Series. Just wanted to put that cap. And in his first year with that team, they won the World Series. And yes, Freddie Freeman was World Series MVP. But does anyone think that Shohei Ohtani wasn't a huge part of that?
By the way, I appreciate a good question or good point. Billy Bong says, wait, what? How is he better than Ruth? Let him get to 700 before you say that. Come on. Fair, except you're forgetting Babe Ruth never saw anything other than a white guy named Oil Can throw the ball at him. You know, old-time Hoss Rayburn is who he was playing against. Babe Ruth never saw 97-mile-an-hour sliders with 22-inch break in the 7th inning. The 5th pitcher in the game is throwing 93 with 18-inch break on sliders. Babe Ruth never saw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. That's all he saw. There were 3 pitches when Babe Ruth played. They were all thrown by white dudes who were also postmen. You can't even compare those eras. Babe Ruth saw a fastball, a changeup, a spitter. That's it.
Please watch the Braves closer in the 9th inning blow away the batter before Shohei, and then on the first pitch, Shohei opposite field end the game. Just for your argument, just spend 20 seconds watching that. Just do yourself a favor. That's all I ask.
What's wrong with white guys? Nothing other than an entire league of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between everybody here is here because they're talented enough to be here, and we're definitely keeping people who might be more talented than us not here because of the color of their skin.
There's an entire league playing over there better than us. Yeah.
The white guys in the sport weren't the problem. It was not letting anyone but white guys in the sport. That was the problem. Stunning that needs to be explained in 2025. Good God. What's wrong with white guys? Dude, you got 2 of them right now.
Exactly.
How much are you enjoying these white guys? White guys are great. Buy all the white boy stock you can. It never goes down, apparently.
Sure. Barstool did a great job with Blankenship and Cooper DeJean this year with exciting whites. That was a bit for them that they had two guys on the defensive side of the ball that were white guys making plays. It's fun. Once in a while it happens.
So, all right, here's the story I wasn't planning on telling. Jack just did his first season of flag football. Flag football was great. They won the championship. They went undefeated. They won 48-0 in their title game. They were the 85 Bears out there. They were incredible. Their team was amazing. So I'm talking to a buddy of mine who lives in Atlanta, and he asked me, he's like, is the league that you're in segregated? I was like, no, not at all. And he's like, well, out here in Atlanta, we kind of have to do that because there is fast and then there's black fast. And like there is one kid who every time he touched the ball was a touchdown.
That's awesome.
Every time he touched the ball was a touchdown.
That's awesome.
This little black kid is so much faster than everybody else on this football field that it was, like the whole point is everyone's supposed to be out here having fun. This little kid
dominating.
And so like
dominating.
The whole, like when I bring up white black thing, like if you're faking outrage, but are participating in observable reality, just get out of here. There's 2 things that white people are all done winning: marathons and spelling bees. Accept it.
Done.
Accept it.
It's over. We
had a nice run.
And there you go.
Hell of a run. Hell of a run. So, anyways, speaking of a hell of a run, because I know you got to get going here, Sammy. Speaking of a hell of a run, though, I don't think people realize tomorrow's going to be opening day at, now it's called Oracle Park. I always call it 24 Willie Mays Plaza.
Yes.
It's the greatest address in sports, basically, right?
I think I'll remember it always as AT&T.
Yeah. No, it's
Pac Bell. Well, no, what'd you say? Pac Bell, really. Pac Bell, right? Pac Bell.
Pac Bell.
Yeah, I think Pac Bell is what. It'll always be Pac Bell to me. That's where Bonds did it. Pac Bell. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what would they the nickname for a second there with the brick hit house, but it wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
Anyways, tomorrow will be opening day. You want to feel old? It's the 25th season that the Giants have played in downtown San Francisco. 25 years now already in that park. 25 years. The Giants sent out a little here are our ballpark stats thing today that I thought was interesting.
Oh, that's great.
In 25 years, they've sold 36 million beers. I mean, by the way, if you want to make me mad at who's hitting cleanup, give me numbers like this, because how much is 36 million beers put in the coffers?
Oh,
3.7 million Crazy Crab sandwiches. I think those are like $28 a piece, right?
if garlic fries isn't on this list, it's an outrage.
It's not. It's not.
They introduced it to the world.
They sold 3.5 million hats. Over 10.6 promotional giveaways have been handed over to fans over the years. 16,889 hits, 8,355 runs. You got a home run record. You got 3 World Series. You got Tim Lincecum. You got Brian Wilson. You had Ray Durham at Momo's. I mean, I can't believe how long that park has now been open. 25 years, Sammy. It went by fast.
Not only did it go by fast, for you and I to just blink our eyes and remember what it was like to go to that brand new ballpark. And that revolutionized baseball. I mean, PNC Park in Pittsburgh essentially was born out of what Pac-Bell was at that time. I mean, PNC is a gorgeous park also in Pittsburgh, but what happened there on the water with that park in downtown, for my money, for one venue to go see something, if it's not going to be maybe a fight at the Sphere in Vegas, which I think is pretty outstanding, but to live your life as any kind of a sports fan and not see a baseball game at Pac-Bell, I'm still going to call it, is such a disservice to whatever you think you know about enjoying sports. It not only is it gorgeous with the setting behind you, the intimacy that they created in a park that they can hold that many people is so stunning. The history that is there, and to me, the Bonds thing is almost more important than the World Series. And I know that's not reality, but I'm just saying like what it felt like in the moment to be there for those at bats. And the only other stat I wanted you to throw out there was how many splash landings and how many belong to Bonds. By the way, if you did that right, if you did the math,
I don't know what the ratio is of all of those just belonging to Bonds, but it's extreme. And what I always have the only thing I do not like about that ballpark, the only thing that I don't like, is that they didn't count away team splash hits as well. That's not a team total. That's supposed to be a ballpark record.
That's unfair. Because and by the way, and anyone who does, I mean, it is a massive hit. By the way, to hit the ball there is a mammoth shot. And tip of the cap to the kayakers that are out there getting the balls with the nets and all that. But
when they built the stadium, they thought that was going to be easy. They thought short porch balls are going to be flying out of here. And
no, to get it to the water.
All you need to know is that during the home run derby, where it's just nothing but meatballs.
Vladdy won that one. Yeah, Vladdy Guerrero.
Single splash hit in the home run derby. Not one.
There you go. I mean, really, that is so. I want history.
Barry Bonds not participating in the home run derby in the park that he built is one of the all-time fuck everybody here moves ever.
I want everyone to go back. I want to take the sort of the blasphemy off of what Barry Bonds in that career was. And I want people to just go back and remember and watch that. If you can just type in Barry Bonds to YouTube or Barry Bonds home run rip, if you can watch what Barry Bonds used to do to baseballs, I mean, I don't care what he was sipping or rubbing on his body or whatnot, what his hands could do in meeting a baseball and just ending its life was unlike anything you'll ever see before. Anything you'll see after. The home run he hit in the World Series against the Angels is just, ask Jared Washburn and Tim Salmon about that hit.
That ball's still going.
That ball is still going is what Tim Salmon said in the moment. They brought Washburn into face bonds. In fact, they were trying to close that game out. They brought him in. And it was just, I mean, it was Bonds hit balls unlike anyone else. And that ballpark holds that history in such an unbelievable way, and it will always be that for me. And to think that 25 years, I can't, Damon. It just doesn't seem like that long. But then again, it's 3 World Series in that park, right?
Yes. Yeah. And
Wow.
And the thing about Bonds is you could literally break up his career into 2 careers, and you got 2 Hall of Fame careers. Before speculation, post speculation.
You could pretty much go Pittsburgh and San Francisco, Barry Bonds, and say, you got two incredible players. Yeah, by the way, 3 and almost 4 World Series, right? They lost to the Angels in 7. That could have been 4 in that park.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the Fisher Folly that's going on up in West Sacramento right now. First of all, West Sacramento, you deserve better than John Fisher. And it took all of 12 innings for everyone to be on to this monorail salesman. So night one, the Athletics with the Cubs in town draw 12,119 fans to their ballpark. It did look good. It did look full on night one. You know, it's, you know, to describe as an intimate setting is an insult to intimate setting. This is a less than major league setting for a major league venue, for a major league situation. But okay, here we all are. We don't need to go over the ground again. What do you think happens in game two? Well, the Cubs are in town still, and the newness is certainly all this is. This is all so brand new. There won't be less interest for game two, will there? Well, 10,095 showed up for game two. Game three, a beautiful day game, 9,342. Again, this is reported attendance, and we all know that all the A's do is lie about their reported attendance. And you have diminishing. If you thought that 1,100 fans looked tiny in the cavernous Coliseum, wait until you see what that looks like in a minor league ballpark. Just wait, Sammy. I've got one day. So I'm going to be in Japan on Friday, April 25th. But one of the things I will do from Japan, I promise, is open up the internet to see what the A's attendance was that night, because that's when the White Sox are in town. If you are having trouble selling out your minor league stadium, which is a brand new, never seen before major league experiment happening in real time, if you can't,
in the capital of California.
But but here's the thing. Don't let the phrase capital of California confuse you with this is a fun place to be. And now I'm not trying to rip you at all, West Sacramento. You got a lovely community, good people, no problems with you at all. You did nothing wrong. You wouldn't for a second say we have as many entertainment options as Las Vegas does. You have technically less. You have technically 2 entertainment options. I can't wait for the River Cats to outgrow the A's this year.
Yes.
I let that happen. And what I also want to see happen is every single here's how the team moves to Vegas business model is attached to a 100% capacity of their stadium. Again, in America's most distracting, there is something else to do in every 10 feet you walk, much less is there anything else going on tonight. You will have 400 options on the way to the ballpark. So if they're already losing steam by game 3 in a one-horse town, what happens when they get to Las Vegas? Guess what, Sam? You know what's going to happen when they get to Las Vegas? Nothing. They ain't getting to Las Vegas. I'll bet on that right now. I don't think it's going to happen.
How come the Raiders did this so well? How come the Raiders?
Because they're not John Fisher.
How come the Raiders? Look, you and I may know Mark Davis a certain way, and we certainly know JT the Brick. And by the way, shout out to Julie Turnauer, JT's wife today. Yep. By the way, shout out to Julie. Happy birthday. But
is it her birthday? Diehard
it is. It's actually, it is. Diehard Cubbies fan, Julie. So happy birthday to Julie. But we have a special place in our heart for the Raiders. That, you know, they're a huge part of our career. With the first iteration of John Gruden, there's just a lot that runs through us with the history of the Raiders, and we appreciate that. But there's certainly a lot in the history of the Raiders that can be chipped away at, and people have what they have to say about Mark Davis, etc. But how come the Raiders made this move so beautifully, where they have an unbelievable ballpark? They've already hosted a Super Bowl, and everyone gave it 10 out of 10. At Super Bowl City was incredible. Every Super Bowl should be in Las Vegas because of how well they did it. Great host city, great host team, great host stadium. And again, moved out of Oakland and seamlessly has a team that's, by the way, not winning necessarily consistently, but a venue and a city, an NFL team showing up in your city so well. And yet the A's can't figure out how to get to Vegas, which, by the way, already won a Stanley Cup, as I said, won a Stanley Cup with their hockey team, hosted a Super Bowl with their football venue.
1 and 2 WNBA championships.
And we,
right?
We
3,
yes. Yeah. We can't get this baseball team, which everyone has said, okay, we're moving from Oakland to Vegas. And not only that they're not there yet, there's no timeline on when they'll be there. Yeah. And it's not like in the meantime, it's the same nebulous 3-4 years from now that
every single ballpark rendering we've ever seen attached to this team ever showed us for Fremont or Laney College or Santa Clara or freaking Hamilton Land, or what was it? What was the place we were going to go? The Howard Terminal.
Sure.
You know, I mean, like it just
Jack London Square, whatever. Yeah, I mean,
the bullshit never ends. The bullshit never ends, and I'm glad that the city of West Sacramento was picking up on this bullshit. On night one, sell the team chants were up as the Cubs were putting up like 18 runs.
Think about that. And by the way, I sent you one of my favorite moments from the entire opening week of baseball. But nothing I love more than a pitch is hit out of a ballpark for a home run. The pitching coach comes out of the dugout, talks to his starting pitcher. This is the first inning. Okay. Right. First inning, 2-run homer. Before the next pitch is thrown, so the guy is rounding the bases while the pitching coach is coming out to talk to his starting pitcher. That conversation happens. We can all assume whatever the hell, brilliant piece of advice is given. And the next pitch is hit to dead center for a home run.
Over the batter's eye.
Should that pitching there should be a clause in every pitching coach's contract that if you come out to the mound and the next pitch is hit out of the park, you're at least suspended for the next game. You don't have to be fired, but you're at least
no more mound visits for the rest of the game for you.
I mean, if you lose a challenge in football for getting one wrong, isn't that the worst outcome from any trip to the pitching mound? Then the next pitch hit out of the ballpark. Like, okay, that one didn't go well. Here's what we want to do for this one. That? Okay, good. Nice. So that happened in the first inning. But regardless, it is so unfair. It's unfair because you're not just doing this to one Major League Baseball team with Sacramento. Every team has to come here to play.
Well, and look, I mean, what is that? If you can't fill we're playing in a minor league ballpark while it's brand new, everyone's curious about it, and the Cubs are in town. Let's be completely honest. Of the 12,119 who were there for game one, it is not a conservative estimate to say that's 25 to 30% Cub fans.
And the A's had a nice start to the season before their home games.
Right. I mean, look. So the day that I've circled is Friday, April 25th.
I love it.
You're going to have the White Sox in town. That's the attendance figure I'm going to be interested in. When we are, a full month into this happening, now you've got a team that has got the lowest over-under in Major League Baseball. I can't wait to see what that park is like on a 115-degree Wednesday day game against the Mariners, the Nationals, the Marlins, teams that no one can even name a player on those teams.
And it's a shame we didn't mention it. Maybe the Bengals should have thought this through, and maybe they should just move to Sacramento at this point.
Maybe the Bengals should move to Oakland, Sacramento. Maybe they should split
or Oakland. You know what? Actually, yes. You know what? The Bengals should move to Oakland because, again, I'll say it, to pass that parking lot on Hagenberger and to see those buildings, to see venues that once hosted 3 professional teams now host none, is such a when we celebrate the 25 years of Pac Bell Park, to drive past this other parking lot, which serves no professional teams at this moment, is a tear down my face. Send the Bengals there. And frankly, let the A's just still play there.
We didn't even have time to get into torpedo bats.
Oh, wait, I have one thing to say about it, by the way.
So I have one thing to say too. Go ahead. Start.
Either every team should have them. And by the way, the Brewers should have been first up saying, where do we get those? The Brewers should have said it on Saturday night, where do we get those? So either just have every team play with them.
Can we borrow those?
Right. Just like the Brewers. I mean, we're right here. Just we're in the other dugout. Can we just use those? So I actually have no problem with this. Just if every team has access to these, that's it. That's my only point. I don't even care. There's like no controversy to me at all. Like every team should have them. Every team should be looking into them at this point. Let them use them. That's it. I really think it's that simple. And if the Yankees got a head start on it, that's what happens a lot in sports. That's innovative. And I'm only surprised that MIT was associated with this and it didn't involve the Red Sox. That's all.
My question is, this feels like a very major detail of a significant enough equipment change that before you even see any results with it, what's stunning to me is that the entire baseball journalism workforce had no idea that this was happening or about to happen until it happened.
Well, it wasn't for a major team in the sport, so it didn't involve any team that anyone ever covers or has anything to say about.
This snuck past the Yankees. And everyone that covers that, it's just amazing to me. 9 times. So, by the way, you know what? This is really going to be interesting. And I saw this from Adam Burns, who manages the Bet Online Sportsbook. He said
great.
9 times out of 10, when there's a rule change or equipment change or something other than a day-to-day alteration that could be factored into our handicapping equation, we're ahead of it. They weren't ahead of this at all. They didn't know about it.
You think this affects over-under? Yeah. Does this affect over-under and ERA? Yeah.
It might. Team totals, individual totals. If this bat really is like the crazy straw of straws,
Aaron Judge over-under or MVP. Yeah, absolutely.
How about this, though? Aaron Judge is not using a torpedo bat because he said, see the year I just had? I'm not changing bats. I'm not jumping off this horse. I'm already riding Secretariat. So
Pretty smart.
Yeah, it is smart. We're going to have to say this for next week, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about how Coastal Carolina is allowing free concessions at their games this year. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Jim Nantz, maybe stepping away from the Masters in a few years. And he had the single greatest weekend, the Final Four into Masters turnaround. It was the greatest broadcasting turnaround in broadcasting business. He gave up the Final Four, obviously. He's still at the Masters.
And by the way, weeks removed from the AFC Championship in those runs as well. So
not bad. He might throw a Super Bowl in there, depending on
exactly.
So it's good to have been Jim Nantz, and now all he does is live at Pebble Beach and plays the par 3 in his own backyard. It's good to be Jim Nantz. If you ever got to live on a 16-mile drive, don't think about it. If you ever got to live on a 19-mile drive, don't think about 17-mile drive. That's where you want to be, baby. 17.
It's good if you can get it.
If you can get it. You're going to bring your wallet. Today in history. Are you ready to wrap up? I know you got it.
Let's go. No, I'm so excited for this, though.
By the way, thanks again to Ike's. Thanks to the Dubliner and West Portal. Thank you to the Hamantash.
Stetas Hamantash. Yes.
Thank you very much to all of you. Hit like and subscribe if you would, please. It is an outstanding way. I normally drink out of a tumbler. Yesterday, Sammy, in on the name of a little product placement.
Oh, no, look at this. I got to, I have to get one of those. I got to go to the gear piece of the YouTube page and grab that.
I sold 4 of them yesterday. I'm like, if I'm not excited about my mug, how can anybody else be excited about my mug?
Yes.
So we sold 4 mugs yesterday. So here, go buy a mug. Support the channel, buy a mug. I'll cover my mug with the mug. There you go. Today in history, we always start with birthdays. Happy 64th birthday, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, wow.
Happy 67th birthday, Alec Baldwin, who is a guy he's funny. I like him. He's old school. He is also a huge pain in the ass, and you can see all that too. He's everything. He's everything that a Hollywood asshole should be.
I agree. And I would say for those that are torn on what they think of Alec Baldwin overall, watch two things. His performance in the comedy Along Came Polly is unbelievable. As Ben Stiller's boss, he's outstanding. And there's a few just beautiful scenes there. And also The Departed. For as serious a movie as that is, Alec Baldwin provides comedy relief throughout The Departed in his interactions with Mark Wahlberg in a way that you have not appreciated enough. Trust me, go back and watch it.
It's the ultimate maybe scene stealer. Glenn Ross, the whole ABC always be closing. We forget that he was in the original Beetlejuice, for goodness sakes.
Oh, please. The great with Gina Davis.
Alec Baldwin is going to be the kind of guy who's going to have to pass away to get the Val Kilmer treatment.
Yes. And we haven't mentioned Val, and by the way, yes, tip of the cap, Iceman for sure. But yes, you're right. Alec Baldwin. Appreciate Alec Baldwin is all I want to say.
Right. Look at it this way. He didn't load the gun. He pulled the trigger. Weird. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Happy birthday to Jane Goodall. 91 years old. She lives with gorillas? Gorillas in the Mist. It was Sigourney Weaver is about Jane Goodall's life. She's 91. And today, Marlon Brando would have turned 101, but he is no longer available.
I mean, The Godfather. I mean, it's just
that.
Hang your hat on that.
Streetcar Named Desire, All Across the Waterfront, and just a couple movies. Okay, 1860. We're going all the way back for this one, and it's going to be. There are 2 different items in today's history that include references to St. Joseph, Missouri. We'll start with the first. Today in 1860, the Pony Express delivery system, which had a continuous horse riders going 1,800 miles between St. Joseph, Missouri, and the home of the Athletics, Sacramento, California, was launched today, the first Pony Express ride. And the rides, that's the thing. Do people understand that ride never stopped? They always had carriers en route. By the way, the Kevin Costner apocalyptic movie called Postman is but Tom Petty does make a cameo at the end of it.
Nice.
Anyways, from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento, Pony Express born today in 1860. In 1882, while adjusting a picture on the wall of his home in St. Joseph, Missouri, two St. Joseph, Missouris today, American outlaw Jesse James was shot and killed by the coward Robert Ford.
For those that haven't seen the movie, and again, underrated, Casey Affleck, again, you can read a lot about him that you don't like, but if you haven't seen the Jesse James movie with Casey, do yourself a favor there as well. Okay, he's really sort of, I mean, dark as most of most of his portrayals are dark, but it's another one that will just kind of stick with you and you won't be able to lose it. But that's a great one.
A third historical fact from the 1800s. Today in 1885, Gottlieb Daimler. Find me a more German name than that. Gottlieb Daimler was granted a German patent for his engine design. That company would morph and merge into the automotive giant Daimler Chrysler, which then, of course, became the Mercedes-Benz Group. So happy birthday, Mercedes-Benz. Can I
just say there's a lot more Mercedes that you'll see on the road now. I mean, you will. Mercedes, most car companies now have made their cars affordable to nearly anybody, and so you'll see more of them. But I will argue there's still not a moniker. I mean, obviously Rolls-Royce still means that, but Mercedes just still, you and I could lease a Mercedes for a very affordable price right now. We could choose that. All right. And I'm driving an 09 Infinity. You're rocking Kia here and that, right? But we could have also negotiated something with Mercedes to drive those.
Rento gang.
But Mercedes just still has that little tinge to everyone of, oh, I've earned something in this world, or, oh, that guy did something right. Mercedes just still means luxury class wealth. You got to give them credit on that. I mean, they're making electric cars.
If we wanted to, what is the single greatest corporate branding logo out there? I really do think it comes into a two-team fight. Nike swoosh, Mercedes-Benz emblem.
It just means I did something.
Yeah, I did something. Somebody got fucked, and I was the beneficiary. Look at me. I drive Mercedes. Okay, today in 1973, the very first handheld mobile telephone call was made by an employee of Motorola who called AT&T's Bell Laboratories in 1973. It would take several more years to today in 1981, where Sam, the Osborne 1, as it was called, the very first successful portable. No, excuse me. It wasn't that. No, hold on. Wait. I got my. Okay, in 1983. So it goes.
So 73 to 83.
Invented the thing in 73. It took 10 years to actually produce something that could be sold. Martin Cooper of Motorola demonstrated the first mobile phone. It was called the Dynatac 8000. It was 2.5 pounds. And it was $3,995 available to the consumers for the very first time. So the technology to do it, and then finally we can sell this thing for $3,900, which, by the way, in 1983 was probably about $8,000 to $10,000 in inflation in modern money. So
that's stiff. But by the way, for those that don't remember, look it up for what a car phone used to look like. It was fastened into the
wealth.
I mean.
An early sign of wealth? Oh my God. If you had a car phone in 1988, you must be the president.
Period. If you heard a phone ringing inside a car, yes, you looked around like, who in the world? Not only who is that calling, but who are they calling?
By the way, 1981, the Osborne 1, the first successful portable computer, was unveiled at the West Coast Computer Fair in San Francisco. I'm guessing that was at Moscone, old Moscone.
Oh yeah.
Probably did
We're
that out in
all
Moscone.
where all great inventions are unveiled.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I specifically leave music and movies out of today in history. So we actually doing like things that people could actually learn about, historical facts, or otherwise this will turn into, do you remember that song? Don't you love that movie? Nostalgia. We also do like focusing on business, which brings us to our final point. Today in 2009, Fast and Furious debuted in theaters. Sammy, without looking, I can honestly say I have never seen a Fast and Furious movie. I'm not interested. I don't care. It's not for me, but I cannot deny its place in the zeitgeist. How many movies do you think there have been in this franchise?
9 just keeps coming to mind.
It's 10. It's
okay.
10.
Okay.
10 Fast and Furious movies. I'm going to be my own. I'm going to I'm going to tell my entire trip to Tokyo is going to be the Plus Tokyo Drift. We're doing it, baby.
As it should be. It is the Tokyo Drift.
This movie franchise has earned more than $7 billion globally. $7 billion.
Is that good?
To watch Vin Diesel do this.
I had a girlfriend who was very into these films and actually got me to the theater for one of them.
Okay.
I mean, certainly from an entertainment standpoint, if you're willing to just tell yourself this will not be in the Golden Globe and Academy Award conversation, and you're willing to just say, I want to experience what the big screen is about, and I want to see screeching tires, etc. It's unbelievable what they attempt and actually pull off in these movies. It is. So I'll give it that.
Just give me a popcorn cruncher, I believe as they call it.
Yes.
That was. Sammy, go crunch some popcorn with the kids. Crunch some Hamantasha. Everybody crunch your Ike sandwiches. Go crush a Guinness at Dubliner West Portal. And all we can do is say thank you so much for watching. Subscribe over on Thinking Out Loud with Sammy. Subscribe to the Plus if you're already not. Pick up a mug, for goodness sakes, if you're thinking about that. And all I can do is say thank you so much to Sammy for stopping on by. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everybody for hanging out in the chat. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, they're gone.